Well, it's been a while since I made the last video of this fan. I should probably turn the lights off for this, but yeah. I don't know exactly. Yeah. Anyway, so this is my 24-inch Dayton high velocity fan. It's actually a bit too dark in here, so I'll just turn the light back on. And this is the second video on it, just to explain this particular video is why I don't use this fan too much, and I just keep it out of my collection, kind of. Well, I don't keep it out of my collection. It's still in my collection, but it's just a bit too much for me, I guess. Well, yeah. So I got this fan back in, I want to say April. I'm not exactly March or April. I'm not exactly sure. I got it along with. Well, I didn't get it along with. I got it right. I got it I got this thing the same day as the metal table fan right there, and my 2 tower fans on that shelf right there. Those 3 I got from the cherry auction. This one, I got it. My dad got this from a flea market. Anyway. So, this is, kind of my least favorite fan so far. It's my least favorite fan. It's not the worst fan I own, but it's not the best one. I'd say it's definitely up, well, it's, only thing I really could say is that this is by far the loudest fan I own. And I'll explain that why. So it's a 24-inch fan, even though it doesn't look that big on camera. Trust me, it's actually 24 inches. Or is it? Hold on, let me grab a box fan for reference. And so I got this Lasco here, and it's a 20-inch fan, as you guys can see. It's a bit bigger, but that's kind of weird. Whoops. So this is the largest high velocity fan, well, the largest antique fan that I own, and it's the oldest high velocity fan that I own too. I don't really own that much high velocity fans, or at least the industrial ones. I own this one. I own the B-Air, which is a modern one, and I own the Patent. I wouldn't say the Patent is a high velocity fan. It's more like a household fan. Despite being a metal, despite having like the same body as a high velocity fan, but it has a plastic blade and it's very quiet, so I wouldn't call it an industrial fan. Like I'm guessing like the louder fans are for industrial uses because they're too loud to use in a household. Anyway, so this fan was $65, which is a steal, which is pretty cheap for a fan this size. Well, it's actually very cheap for a fan this size because this is an old fan. That's a very old fan. And it's a big fan too. And it's considering like the new modern like commercial electric 24-inch drum fans go for at least $169 at the Home Depot. And they're a lot newer too than this. This is probably around 1970s. I'm not exactly sure. So yeah. So this, like I said, it's the biggest portable fan that I own. If the tower fans did not count, it's not the biggest portable fan that I own, but I know it's the loudest and most insane fan that I own. I think it's also the one with the longest cord that I own. Last year sometime, I think it was September, I'm not exactly sure, I have reviewed the 18-inch version. It was not mine, it belonged to my mom's brother, my uncle. It was on a much taller stand, and it was the 18-inch one. It was still really loud and very strong, but it wasn't as loud as this one. It was actually a lot better, even though it was still really loud. But yeah. So yeah. So I mean, this fan hardly, like I said, I hardly ever use it because it's unreal how fast this thing spins for being a 3-blade. But I'll explain that later. This, yeah. I spin the blades. You guys can see just how free they are. But now let's get a closer look at this beast. All right, here I am on the floor next to this thing. It doesn't say what brand it is, but, well, I know what brand it is. It's a Dayton, even though there's no badge on it. Yeah, so it's got a 24-inch guard with a 20-inch, Lakewood blade. These are the same blades that are found on Dominion box fans and Lakewood, P23 box fans, that have the 3 metal blades. Those are the older ones. The grill is extremely rusted, as you guys can see. It's basically just an enlarged version of the Handy Breeze right there, even though the Handy Breeze is much worse. Yeah. It's got an 11-foot long power cord, and it's got a really odd-shaped cylindrical plug, which is cracked somewhere. Right there. It's cracked, so it's hold on. You guys can see the crack in this thing. I don't know. I shouldn't say crack on YouTube, but anyway, there's the crack right there. And it's got a 3-prong grounded plug, even though like the 3rd prong is actually not rounded. It's, I don't know what you call that shape, but yeah. And the cord is extremely long. I honestly, if you were in a small room like this, you wouldn't need a long cord. But like I said, this fan is not meant for small rooms. Okay. Now let's go ahead and get back on the, okay. Another thing is that, yeah, here's the price tag, $65. And yeah, there's the base, which is snapped. I was trying to move this fan one time, and I must have snapped the base due to this fan's heavy weight. So now let's get into the video. This is a very heavy fan. Whoops. That did not sound good. And just by like listening to how loose the base is, that's bad. Anyway, here's the left side, and it's a bit. I should probably zoom in. Yeah. It's really heavy, so I'm not gonna lift it anymore. Actually, but even though it's given the weight, I would not lift it like that. Here's the right side, and it's the same thing, I guess, just like that. So not really much to say on this one. Yeah. In the back, I'm worried I'm gonna snap the stand, and it's gonna be a disaster. Whoops. Okay. Now we're good. Here's the back of it. Bit of hair right there on the guard. It's even more rusted. Here's the motor, which is a Westinghouse motor. I was right about it in the first video. And it does not say Dayton on it anywhere. Even though I think that does say Westinghouse. Yeah, Westinghouse motor. It has a really high torque motor, as you guys can see. I think it's similar to what you would find. It's similar to like the engines on a lawnmower, but yeah. Here's the rest of the cord, the base, which is extremely rusted. Yeah, it's bad. I'm scared to flip this thing back around because I'm worried it's gonna break. But I'll try. There we go. Oh, that did not sound good at all. Anyway, make sure like the blades are not gonna get caught in anything. I don't know. It doesn't look like it's gonna get caught. No, it's not. It spins freely still. Anyway, so this fan is the loudest in my collection. Like, if you guys do remember my 18-inch Utilitech pedestal fan, that was the first loudest in my collection. And then it's now the second loudest in my collection since I got this one. This is the first one. This is the first loudest fan in my collection now. And this thing is crazy when it starts up. It's unreal how fast this fan spins. So, and apparently, each time I start it up, I always have to cover my ears, because this thing has a really, really high torque motor. It's up to speed in like 2 seconds, which is kind of impressive, but that's just because this thing has a really large motor. Okay, so, yeah, that's weird. Okay, the camera's out of focus again. Okay, here we go. I'm so scared to do this, but I have to do it. I'm gonna go ahead and plug it in. If you guys do remember the last video, I plugged this fan into the outlet behind the table there, and it was kind of inconvenient. But now there's an outlet over here next to the bed, which I can reach, and that's how I plugged it in. I can still incorporate this into some videos. I mean, I still have to raise my voice over it to talk, but yeah. I'm scared to do this, but yeah. Oh my god. Here we go. Oh my gosh, no. No. Oh my gosh. I don't want to do that. No. Okay. Oh my gosh. I can't believe how high torque and loud this fan is. I never want to use this fan, but I mean, I want to, but it's just so loud. I wish the motor wasn't as big so that it doesn't spin as fast. It's only 6 inches away from being a 30-inch fan, and it still spins as fast as like a box fan, for example. There's also a centrifugal switch. Also, this thing will make your lights flash just a tiny bit. I have to do it. Oh my gosh, wish me luck, guys. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Oh my gosh. Absolute monster. Actually, I don't even know how loud this is. Am I wearing on screen? Is it as loud as this thing? I honestly don't know if the Tornado box fan that I have is louder than this. Yeah. So this is why I don't use this fan too much. I have to cover my ears to literally. So yeah. And comment down below if you guys are also sensitive to loud noises, because even though I'm 16, I still don't really like loud noises, so I don't use this fan at all. But this Tornado box fan, is this thing really? Ooh, okay, that is this Tornado box fan here. This one. This is such a nice fan. This Tornado. But is it really as loud as this Dayton fan? Because I honestly, I mean, it sounds like it is, but I honestly don't know. So, yeah. I mean, this is obviously louder than my Lasco box fan, which used to be also another one. I don't know. Yeah, it's plugged in. Alright, let's see how loud it is. Actually, that's not even as bad as this. No, it's actually not as loud. I'm surprised. It's still not this loud. this Dayton fan is much louder. I can't believe it. Well, yeah. Oh man. All right, that's cool. I hate to plug it back in, but I have to. Everything in here is just glowing. The curtain, the plant, and the string on the ceiling fan too. It's glowing. Oh man, this is not terrible, but it's not a great fan either. You guys probably can't even hear me. I heard my voice over this thing. Very, very powerful fan. Jesus, that's loud. Man. So so I turned on the Vornado just to make sure that this is the loudest fan in my collection. And fair enough, it still is. None of my fans in my collection are louder than this thing. This thing is absolutely insane. I mean, there might be louder fans that are 24 inches than this, but this is up there as being one of the loudest 24-inch fans. One fan that I do want to experience is a Westinghouse Wurlitzer fan, 24-inch, that has a micarta blade. Fair enough, a lot of collectors who have that fan are saying that it's actually a pretty quiet fan, but yeah. So yeah. So this is the only fan that I hardly ever use because it's so noisy. Another YouTuber who I recently met on YouTube, his name is Brett, and he actually had, or still has probably, a 24-inch Dayton pedestal fan, but it has the OSHA grill. I think his is from the 1970s. I think this one's from the 1960s. But honestly, I don't know. I mean, it has a much more open space grill, but yeah. And I believe his fan is louder because I think DB Vintage actually told me that, like, there was a video on his channel about a 30-inch Robinson Myers pedestal fan that was vintage. Fair enough, that fan wasn't actually that loud. It was actually pretty quiet, but that's due to the grill not being as open. Due to the grill being more open. And he told me that on a modern 30-inch fan like the Central Machinery, since it has a more tightly spaced grill, it's a lot more noisy. Even though that fan, the Central Machinery, wasn't actually as noisy as this. Even when I test, if I would have brought this fan to Home Depot, it still would have been really loud, even though it's a larger building, and yeah, this thing is just way too loud. So it is definitely true that this is the loudest fan that I currently own. It does have a nice twerp sound, but man, due to it just having that gigantic motor, it's able to spin faster than a standard 20-inch high velocity fan. And fair enough, the 20-inch high velocity fans, they're not even that loud. Some of them aren't. But this is just unreasonable. And also, ever since I got this fan, it always stayed in this spot ever since, and it hasn't even left my room well, it hasn't left this corner in my room. It hasn't, because I keep it separate from my other fans because of how huge it is. And yeah, ever since I got it, which was probably around 5 months already, it just stayed in its spot for ever since I got it. That's bad. That's just not as good. Or that's basically how I store it, because I hardly ever use this fan. It's just terrible for what it is. I mean, it's not a terrible fan. It's definitely well, it's terrible for noise, but it's a pretty decent fan for airflow. I think this thing goes up to at least 100 and something decibels for noise, but honestly, I don't know. But it is true. I would run this one and the Vornado box fan together, but it's gonna be so loud, and I would have went deaf if I did that. But so yeah, not recommended. I mean, I could still incorporate this into the montage videos that I usually do, because if you guys saw in the video, every metal fan that I own, in that video I incorporated this fan, and also in the 2026 summer fan collection video, I also did this one as well. But I was like, how am I going to incorporate this fan into the videos? Because I was like, you're so loud, and you're a big fan, and I hardly ever use you. So yeah. So there might be other 24-inch fans that are quieter than this, even though they sometimes do spin faster. But yeah. So there it is, my absolutely terrifying Dayton fan that I hardly ever use because it's so loud. Like I said, if you're also sensitive to loud noises, comment on this video, because this fan is just terrible. So yeah, this is also an antique fan. This is the biggest antique fan I have, being 24 inches. But anyway, yeah, so that's my 24-inch Dayton fan. Second video on it. Hope you guys enjoyed. This is just an absolute monster of a fan. So anyway, so thanks for watching, and as always, I'll catch you guys in the next fan video. Peace.